We won't be, so we're not going to be seeing train loads of solid waste coming from Toronto then to the Sunbay facility.
No, that's not planned. And I mean, we would be focusing on recycling residuals even with new plants in other parts of Ontario for several years. The thing about municipal solid waste is it is probably the most mixed substance on the planet. I mean, it's hard to imagine something that would have more components in it than garbage, particularly residential garbage. So when you do things, we do something at the front end called a waste composition analysis, and that drives a lot of the engineering and so on. And if you take a sample of 1 week or 1 year or 5 years and just think of all the variations that could be in residential waste, it's quite a variation. So what we do as a developer is we try to sort of mitigate the risks around that, and we try to go for more consistent waste. And recycling residuals is something that kind of provides that too. So the other thing I should say is that just the recycling residuals we're taking is not even from municipal solid waste. There is some of that in Turtle Island's waste stream, but principally they collect something called ICI, which is institutional, commercial, and industrial waste, and principally from shopping malls. They collect at movie theaters, a lot of offices, and so on, where people aren't throwing out that many different things at the movie theater and so on. You're not going to get
popcorn and
stuff like that. You're not going to
get spaghetti.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to get baby diapers and car batteries and stuff like that. And I think we have traveled a lot of different waste facilities, gone to a lot of different landfills and different sort of processing facilities, and it's always quite amazing to see how mixed the waste really is and what people throw out. Yeah.
Now, you've opened a storefront in Port Hope. I believe that's on Walton Street. Is that correct?
That's right, yeah. 35 Walton, right at the corner, basically. I'd say the center of town. I don't know if it's a geographic center, but it's sort of the heart of Port Hope, right beside Dreamers Cafe. What it is, it's an info center that talks about the project, and will be. It's a very sort of alive space. We will do updates there, and there's sort of displays that show pictures of it and so on. So yeah.
Now, I understand that we have some slides that we can show the viewers.
Sure.
The first ones, I guess, we'll have, maybe you can explain what they are as they come up, and we can get those up. There we go.
So this is a schematic of the plant. It shows 2 lines, and this is part of their preliminary engineering and design.
Now these are schematics for the Port Hope facility?
Yes, now there will be, you go through a few different phases with your engineering, and this is what we would call the preliminary design phase that lays out the plant as we believe it will go forward. As we do the more detailed engineering, things may change a little bit, but this is a 3D view of what the plant will look like. The one thing I should say that is different is that these are from designs from a facility, an identical facility they're building in France right now. And in France, they're going with a roofless concept. In Canada, because of the snow, we've decided actually to go with a roof. So it's a little bit different here, but basic gives you a basic sense.
Now, how many facilities like this do we have in operation right now?
Well, there are a couple answers to that. Not to mislead you or anything with the answers. When people say, "Well, there's a few answers," there are a few genuine answers to that. Europlasm is operating and has been operating a facility for about 7 years that is quite similar to the plant that we're building. They are currently building a plant that is identical to the plant that we will be building as well. When you look at the components of the facility, however, there are probably hundreds of examples of this type of plant. And by that, what I mean is that there are 3 process islands to the plant. The first is this fuel preparation area, much like a recycling center. It will have different sort of shredders and maybe some dryers and so on, conveyors and so on. The second component is the gasification island, and that's where the Europlasma torch is, and that's where we have sort of a gasifier vessel. The gasifiers are based on designs that have literally been in use since the late 80s. So they're very well known. The plasma torch has also been used in various applications, but also for the destruction of waste for a couple of decades.
Okay, so this is a picture of the torch.
I'm not sure how it's come up for the viewers, but it says a little stretch there. But that is a plasma torch. Europlasma is we feel is the leader, but if they're not the leader, then they're at least in the top three. It'd be a hard argument to say that they're not in the top three of producers of the plasma torch itself. These torches have now met over 1 million operating hours. I believe in 2007 they actually surpassed that. So 1 million operating hours is pretty significant length of time to know.
Okay, now this is
a schematic of the torch. Basically, what we're seeing here is the best way to think of plasma is it's an electrified gas. So a gas goes through the chamber, and then it is electrified with electrodes, and the gas becomes ionized. And that creates a plasma, which actually is the fourth state of nature. Normally people think of liquid, solid, and gas, and the fourth is actually plasma. And so natural forming plasma would be lightning is probably the closest example. The surface of the sun also has plasmas, and there's various things in space that are made of plasma and so on. So it's if you think of lightning, I mean, it's a very intense heat, very energetic. And that's what really makes these systems different than what any other system can do.